You're listening to The Bird Bath. Welcome back to The Bird Bath. Each week we scrape the surface of the news you need to know, so let's get into it. Kicking us off this week is the sort of a consolidation of multiple stories around different U.S. states that are planning to ban or limit the growth and spaces in which puppy mills can operate. This was something we saw most recently in New York when they banned puppy mills, as well as in California. And a lot of the states on the West Coast have actually put in place some different regulations or barriers for the ease at which breeders are able to sell puppies in specialty stores or live animals, live pets in these stores. 3 states that are in the process of going through this and another that's kind of in the midst or in between are Texas, Delaware, Connecticut, and then Nevada. Texas has a bipartisan group of Texas legislators that have introduced a Senate and House bill to ban pet stores from selling dogs or cats not bred on site. The bill makes an exception for stores offering space to shelters or animal control agencies for adoption. So still giving the opportunity for people to see these animals and find them, but not to open the door for off-site bred animals on property. One of the big things that's different from other states, Texas does not allow shops to lease space to shelters for a fee. You have to do it for free in order for it to be legal within the state of Texas. And so additionally, if the law were to go into effect in September, it would levy fines up to $500 per day for stores that do not follow these regulations. Delaware introduced a bill from the Democratic side of the legislature that would ban the sale of dogs and cats in pet shops unless the store is also a residential breeder. It allows a narrow exception for sellers with no more than 1 litter per year, which is a big thing. When you look at the habits and the breeding styles for puppy mills, it's as often and as frequent and as heavy as possible. So limiting those sellers to 1 litter per year would regulate some of that in some ways. It doesn't limit shelter or prohibit any shelter partnerships, but it makes sure that the pet stores do not have any financial stake in the pet sale. The bill was introduced earlier this month, and it has been referred to the House Health and Human Development Committee. Finally, for states that are in process on this, Connecticut has a House bill that was introduced in January to ban the commercial sale of dogs, cats, and rabbits. And the bill would stop pet shops from auctioning, selling, leasing, or transferring these animals, although it does still allow adoption via shelter and humane societies to happen within the store. In that bill, there's obviously people that are in favor of it, but one of the companies or one of the groups that's opposing it is the American Kennel Club, which says that it could increase the risk of scams and imported diseases for people that are looking to get animals. So we'll see where those go as well. And let me hit on a couple other things here, but let's go on to the Nevada side of things. So Nevada had a bill that was in the legislature that was close to getting approval, and they actually have pulled back on it. They decided that they don't want to put in place a ban, but they do want to put in place a law or a requirement for the study of the impact of a ban. So could be interesting to see what Nevada has to say. And so all of this, goes to say what we're seeing is the issue of state by state regulations. In Nevada, they stated that when they saw a closure of puppy mills in California, that they saw an increase of those animals being brought into their state. Certain cities and certain counties within Nevada do allow pet sales, live pet sales within the stores, while some don't. And they just found that those stores and those breeders moved to cities and places in which they continue with it. And so it's just this ongoing issue. It's kind of a whack-a-mole game in a way that makes it really difficult for state by state or county by county or regional and local legislatures to be able to tackle this at a greater area, because what can happen is that when a ban goes into effect, if those breeders, which are their business, wherever you fall on the spectrum with that, they're still have pregnant animals, they still have litters coming, and they are going to find ways to sell those animals. And so the question then comes, where do those animals go? Are they sold on Craigslist? Are they sold on Facebook? Are they taken to other states where they still can sell them? And is that travel something different? So it's a very complex issue. And it's one that, a lot of people that are in favor of a ban want to see a national ban as a way to enforce it and cut out this opportunity for people to move across state lines. I'll make sure I keep you guys up to date on how those bills pass through the states, or if some of them get stopped, or if different associations have different input on where they want to see these bans put into effect. We've heard a lot about online retailers joining into the animal health world. We talked about it a couple weeks ago about Amazon partnering up with VetSource to start selling pet pharmaceuticals through Amazon website. Obviously, we talk about Chewy very often, but a brick and mortar provider who also has a large e-commerce presence, Target, has relaunched their private label pet accessories brand. And this was kind of timely. This was interesting because as a true suburbanite, I guess that's probably a good way to describe me, I love going to Target. I'm in there. There's days I'm there multiple times a day. And having two little kids, you're going there nonstop for something or another. And so I was walking through the pet section and I noticed the relaunch of the Boots and Barkley brand. And they did a really nice job of making sure it was front and center. So this brand, Boots and Barkley, was one that Target has had previously and scaled back on it. And now they've relaunched to bring it back into the forefront. They've updated the packaging. They've made dog, cat, and shared specific packaging. And the stat that was really interesting when I was looking at this is that Target reports that 70% of its customers are pet parents and 30% purchase pet care items in the store. The other thing that was really interesting was that 2/3 of their new products are priced under $10. So it's kind of interesting if you're thinking about where to look for a good place to have a veterinary clinic. Well, if you think that Target has massive traction and that 70% of those people are pet parents, nearby a Target does not seem like a bad place to put a vet clinic. So definitely something interesting to think about next time you're walking through Target and picking up some lawn chairs or maybe some groceries or whatever else you get from Target, maybe a hot new summer outfit. Check out the pet care section and see what they've got for the Boots and Barkley brand there. Finally, the reason I was thinking about where new practices go and where they're a great place to be is because a lot of new practices have opened recently. Petfolk, for one, has announced opening of their 33rd practice, which is the 11th new practice that they've opened in 2025 alone, which is just staggering. If it was November, I would still think that was a crazy stat, but we're just at the end of May here, and 11 new practices is absolutely wild. So huge growth from the team at Petfolk, and kudos to them for the opening of the new clinic in Florida. CityVet has also opened another location. They've opened their second location in North Carolina, which brings their total practice count to 59 practices. CityVet started here in Dallas, where I am, and now with their second practice in North Carolina, they're now expanding their footprint where Petfolk started. Petfolk also has a good number of practices in the Dallas and Texas area, so kind of interesting to see where these two companies are. At one point, they were in their own sort of turf, and now they're kind of hitting into the same areas. CityVet's sister company, Arista Advanced Pet Care, which opened their first location in Atlanta earlier this year, has announced their second location is going to be opening in my home here in Dallas, Texas, later this year. So really cool stuff. Great to see all of these new practices continuing to open and expand with unique and different models and some really interesting things across the board. And for more on these and other stories, join us by subscribing to our Substack. There's a link in the bio, and don't miss out on any episodes by subscribing and rating the show. For The Bird Bath, I'm Ryan Leach. See you next week, and hopefully my voice sounds a little bit better.